Hi, I'm Paul Perdue, and I'm the infrastructure nerd, and I'm also the president of Attorney Computer Systems. And today I'd like to talk to you about one of Attorney Computer Systems' special services, specifically document coding and document assembly within PracticeMaster. PracticeMaster is a practice management system. It has a very, very powerful document assembly engine built right into it that can take a document that's been coded properly and assemble it instantly and dump it into Word. That is one of the most powerful features and functions of PracticeMaster, or really of any practice management system, but in this case, of course, PracticeMaster. The fact that it can do it directly into Word is significant, as opposed to needing something like HotDocs in the middle. And the logic capabilities and file access capabilities that are built in make it so that we can take virtually any document, any document, and have it instantly pull the right data from the file structures, from the data that's in PracticeMaster, so that within seconds you can be looking at a fully formed motion to compel or motion to enlarge time or a standard set of interrogatories or medical records request. And as long as it's been set up right and the data's been set up in an intelligent way, you literally can be selecting the client and looking at that document 10 seconds later. Let's take a look at how that works. I'm going to go into PracticeMaster and go to the client screen. We're going to look at Kelly White, who happens to have a divorce case as her .00 matter. So it's White versus White. It's an uncontested divorce. And these files here for this particular matter hold, of course, all the data for Kelly White's divorce. And if we go into document assembly, Word document assembly, and do the motion for custody, it will load Word and it will start us on our way of being able to assemble this document. The first thing it does is it says, do you want to see the assembly? And I say yes. It says, is this motion being brought by the petitioner, yes or no? I'll say yes in this instance. How many children are to be evaluated? What's the date of the permanent orders hearing? And I'm going to be selecting one that's a few days back just for the sake of discussion. Under the local statute or code that calls for this action, I'm going to make one up. Enter the evaluator's name, Dr. John Smith, their address. Oops. There is no line 2, Dundee, Michigan, 48131. And then very quickly, it's going to also give me the option to confirm that the date of evaluations has been set. And so what it's doing is it's stopping and allowing me to create a calendar item for that. I'm going to just cancel out, but this would be, of course, very helpful if it were an actual case that I was preparing this document for. It's going to allow me to also schedule a reminder of those evaluations. And it's giving me an opportunity to bill for the time to have prepared this letter, or this document, this motion. Again, which I'm going to cancel out, but again, this is part of document assembly, the ability to not only assemble the document, but to pull together all the reminders and the fee that is tied to that creation of that document. And we end up looking at a document on our screen that's fully formed and ready to go. Now, I'm going to do this again real quick, because I want you to consider a few things. This is the way this sample document comes out of the box from Software Technology in their sample data set. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to close this one and we're going to reassemble it using a slightly different approach. So we're going to go back here, we're going to do Word document assembly, and we're going to do the improved motion for custody. And I'm going to use this as a basis to point out a few things. Again, it asks if we want to watch. Again, it asks, was the motion brought forward by the petitioner? Well, I don't think this is a question that should be asked here. I think it should be able to tell by the way the data is set up in PracticeMaster that it was either brought forth by the petitioner or not. So this is something that I would change. I would have the data set that we're using identify the answer to this question on a matter-by-matter basis, so that you don't have to ask the person who's assembling the document. Instead, the person, the knowledge worker that's setting up the file and putting the data in, that knows probably a little bit better the answer to this question, is storing it, and so that somebody else then can be able to tell this when they look at the record in PracticeMaster. Then asks how many children would be evaluated. That's fine. But again, I would have it select the children stop and ask you which children are to be evaluated, I would set up the data structure so that it allows you a place to store those children and all their information, and then it would simply look and decide how many were to be evaluated, again, based on the data that's been put into the system. But let's go ahead and go through. Then it says, what's the date of the permanent orders hearing? This potentially could come from a pre-scheduled event, but it could also be a question that's asked here. No problem with that. Again, select a fake date. Enter the local statute or code that calls for this action. Now you'll see this is a free-form field where I, in my previous example, typed in 121.01. I hate that. I think that a user should be given a selection. I think that the statute should probably, again, be stored in the data. I think that if it's only one statute that might apply, and perhaps this is, perhaps it's cross-county jurisdiction that might cause you to choose a different statute or code. Perhaps it's cross-state jurisdiction. Perhaps there's only one, but you know, if you're on this side of the country or if you're on that side of the country, I'm not a lawyer, I just play one on television, so I don't know the answer to this question. But the point is, this shouldn't be something that the operators asked for. And even if it was, it shouldn't be in such a way that they're given the opportunity to type it wrong. Okay, so that's just my 2 cents on that. Now it's going to say, in the next screen, select which evaluator is being used for this child. This goes back to our people file concept in document assembly, where we set up, and I'll show you this in a second, we set up a people tab that shows up for every matter and allows you to identify who the evaluator is, who the children are, who the defendant is, who the judge is, who the opposing counsel is. All these people should be identified and tied to the matter. They should be pulled from a common contact file, and we should merely be accessing their information here. I never should have had to type that information directly in that address and name of the doctor that was doing the evaluation. I never should have had to type that in during document assembly. Instead, I should have been asked for it like this, where we simply go to the people records. I only have one for this client right now because I'm going to show you how we'd add some more when I explain the concept. And we would simply select the right person, double click on them, and it would pull their information into the document. Now we're getting the same sorts of prompts to make the calendar entries and bill the fee. And now we have the same letter, but you'll notice this was pulled from the contact file, and we talked about a whole bunch of other things that we would change, that we would do differently. My point here, though, is really how you set your data up and how you code your documents is a direct relation to how quickly they can be assembled, how accurately they can be assembled, and how much information remains in PracticeMaster for users to be able to see later. Quick look here at the people file, because it's instrumental in this ability to generate documents and to code documents without a whole bunch of expense, is to have this people tab that's tied to the matter and allows you to say, well, this person, I'm going to add a new person, I'm going to say this attorney here is the opposing counsel, and we'll choose, I think this is an attorney, and they are the opposing counsel. And this person here, we're going to say is the child of Kelly White. I'm going to try and find somebody named White, but we're not, so we're going to say Martha Wheeling, she must be a stepchild, is a child of Kelly White. And so now we have a people tab that gives an attorney instant access, or a paralegal or anybody that looks at this case, instant access to all the people that are tied to this particular matter just by clicking that tab. That gives them all their information down here, but that's a whole different special service. That's our ability to customize the snapshots. And therefore, that information is immediately accessible and open to the document assembly process, allowing us to code documents that can very quickly generate and do exactly what it is you need to do. That, in a nutshell, is document assembly. We have some very special skills, and we'd like to be able to help you get your documents, or your firm's document store and your firm's document library in shape so that they can be generated very quickly from PracticeMaster.